Hi, so this is going to be the video as a follow-up to the video that I made, which was just a collection of thoughts that I was having at the time of the UK government announcing that they think that creative people and people in creative industries should just retrain and reskill and get another job and do something else. So I want to discuss a little bit about how that's not a great way to look at things, and also the reason that's probably come about, which is, in my opinion, possibly because the people in power think that people with no money shouldn't do things and shouldn't have opinions. But anyway, I'll get into that later on. But what concerns me is the simplicity of the message to just say retrain, go and get a job and do something else, as if it's that simple. Because as we know, with COVID, with the pandemic, lots of jobs don't exist anymore. So there's a lot more people without jobs now that did have jobs and they're not able to get anything. And also, retraining and reskilling costs money. It's not something you can just do without having the money. And I feel like that ignores the time and money and training that people have done to be in the creative industry in the first place. So, this is the number that I found floating about online, but the creative industry is worth about £10 million. I'm not sure how accurate that is, and I don't know if that referred to one sector of it or if it's just it as a whole, but that's the number that I was seeing floating around. So, a big thing that the retrain and reskill suggestion ignores is the people behind the scenes with anything creative. So that means, for example, in music, tech guys, girls, tech folk, tech people, um, the people that light the stage, the people that control the sound, so sound engineers, light engineers. There's also a lot of health and safety things involved. And in studio work, quite often the sound engineers that do the studio work, because live music is different to studio work. Not only that, but there's the amount of time that the actual musicians have spent learning their instrument, honing their craft, that can cost a lot of money. And a lot of people start in childhood. Not all, but a lot of people start learning an instrument in childhood. Because for some people they want to do it, and for some people it's encouraged as a thing to put on your CV as a discipline, showing that you can do something that you want to for a long amount of time and develop skills or something. I don't remember exactly. This is the same with actors. This is the same with artists. A lot of people don't see the behind the scenes things and just assume that it's that one person doing everything. So this obviously affects theatres that show plays, for example, because obviously you need actors, and then again you need the sound engineers, you need the lighting engineers, you need the tech side of stuff, you need people to set things up, you need directors, you need producers, you need all of those kinds of people. So telling people that are in the creative industry to just retrain is not only an insult, it's also not viable for a lot of people because they've already done that training. And to me, it felt like essentially just being told, well, creative things aren't that important. Just go and do something else. We don't need creative things. And the issue with that is a lot of people seem to think that creative jobs are like a dead end, like they're not actually needed, like they're pointless jobs, they're not viable, and there's a lot of discourse around that. But when you look into that a little bit deeper, you'll find that anything and everything you consume, so if you use Netflix, if you use YouTube, if you watch a TV, if you watch a DVD, a Blu-ray, a video, if you listen to things around you, even it's everywhere. It's everywhere. You go into a cafe, music's playing. Someone has to have also designed all of the places where they take place, and that's creative. It's a lot of things people don't think about. So the creative arts industry is not it's not only actual people that create the music and the art and things. It's not just the people that play those things or draw those things or paint those things or sculpt those things. There's a lot that goes on behind the scenes. Now, I do know that the tweet that was sent out that informed people about what the Chancellor said on this matter was deleted because they were asked to delete it because apparently that's not what they meant. They weren't telling people to just find another job. However, today, which is the 12th of October, I saw that someone had shared on Twitter a job advert that was on the government website, which was a picture of a dancer, a ballet dancer, so a highly skilled creative job. I'm just going to add that. And underneath it said retrain, reskill, reboot. Now, I find that very questionable because in this ad there's the dancer and then it has the dancer's name and then it says that she can be something in cyber and she just doesn't know it yet, and that's kind of insulting because if someone's trained to do something creatively, especially something as skilled and time consuming as being a ballet dancer, that kind of undermines her worth and her skill. That's essentially saying to her, you're doing this right now, but it's not good enough. You're going to have to do something else in future. You're wasting your time. Which is the discourse that happens with a lot of creative people. You get people saying, oh, when are you going to get a real job? When are you going to do this? When are you going to do that? Don't you think that this would be a better job to do? And as I said previously, people don't realise exactly how often creative things are used and done in their lives because you don't think about it. It's just there, it just exists. And if you tell all the creative people to retrain, including the people behind the scenes, you're going to have nothing. The other thing that I find is a lot of people try and tell creative people that have opinions on things politically to stick to doing whatever craft it is that they do and not discuss political things. I would argue that that's not true. I would argue that everything that you do and consume is political content or has a political message. And this leads me on to the example of classical music training as being viewed as something that people do when they have a lot of money, because that means they can do it just because they want to do it, not because they're trying to make a living from it or it's their craft that they want to hone or it's what they want to do or what their calling is in life. And by telling a lot of creative people to retrain and find another job, that means those voices are lost, and it means that the people who do then create the content for everyday life are pushing the agenda of the people in charge. And obviously that's just my personal opinion, but it does seem like there is discrepancies between who can and can't do music, and it seems to be if you're part of the rich part of society, you can do music and you can have training and that's absolutely fine. But if you're a person who isn't in that kind of society, that you should just go and find something else, go and find shop work or something like that, because obviously you're not, I don't know, good enough or whatever. But there's a lot of people who are unseen because industries like that are favouring people that have money. And it's an entirely different conversation, but you don't even have to have skills anymore to be in the music industry, but that's another conversation entirely. And obviously this applies to art as well, because it costs money to go to school to study anything creative, as it costs money to go to school to study anything scientific or IT related or anything you can think of at all. If you're going to go to school for it, you're learning, that's gathering skills, and that's going to cost money. So it's not as simple to just tell someone to retrain in something else. So the government did put out a quiz, and I think it's been there for a while. I think it's just that people found it after this was said, and it was basically what jobs you would be suited for based on a personality test type thing to judge what kind of person you are, done with very ambiguous questions on a Likert scale. That means that you can't actually push someone for an answer. Those like an it depends answer, and I've seen people take that where they've put it depends for every single answer because that's how they felt, and then they got told to take it again because they can't come up with any jobs. However, I took that, and my job suggestions came out as the top ones were the arts and creativity industry, in which the first thing that was suggested was a fine artist. So then I clicked on that, and it told me to go to school. It told me go to university to do this, and then you can make this much money a year. Now, if things were only that simple, and if someone had not just turned around and said anyone in creative industry go and retrain and just get into the job, you can do that, it's fine. So I think that illustrates how ridiculous it is to try and judge job types on personality, ambiguous personality traits. So this is kind of the full version of the video that's less ranty, and I've probably missed something out because I'm not editing this, I'm just doing this. I just have a couple of notes written down, and I'm sure I've missed things. I'm sure I probably said things that I haven't remembered, but I hope this at least gives some insight into the things that are going on, and I hope it might even make people appreciate what goes into the media that they consume, whether that's art, music, movies, films, TV series, walking into an art gallery, books even, because authors count as well. Architects, there's so many things that come under the creative blanket, and I think it's just totally ignored because I think it's just become something that's always been there, and I don't think people can comprehend that if you're telling everyone in that industry to retrain, all of those things are going to disappear. And if they don't disappear and if they are still there, what I think may happen then is that all the creative things that you're going to see are going to be from one particular agenda, because it's going to be those kinds of people that can actually do it because they have the money to be able to do it without doing it as a work thing. So thank you for listening if you've stayed for this video for that long. I really appreciate it, and I hope that maybe it's made you rethink about what you consume, how it's made, and I hope that it's made you think about what goes into everything. And hopefully things will get better. So thank you very much. Have a wonderful day. Goodbye.